closing off our coach series of getting to know the coaches. So welcome to the Salty Hive experience.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, let's start. Let's get right into it. I want you to give us a little breakdown of Meg, who you were before you even found CrossFit.
Wow. Okay. It's so hard to choose, like, okay, athletically, like personally, educationally, like there's so much to it. I'll just start with like a little background on me. So I was born in Chicagoland area, Illinois, and I didn't move to Utah until the summer of 2023. So everything that's like Meg before CrossFit took place in Illinois. I grew up with 3 brothers, so I am the second kid out of the 4, one older, 2 younger. And then yeah, so the 4 of us just grew up all together. We had an amazing home life. My parents both work out. My mom just like worked out for a while, and then she got into CrossFit, which got me into CrossFit, which we'll go into later. My dad has always been passionate about just like getting to the gym, talks about the pipes, loves riding his bike. Like my whole family was super active, super sporty. Absolutely loved growing up with brothers. Like it definitely has been a huge part in like shaping who I am, because I think I'm a girly girl, but at the same time, like I love tossing around a baseball, and I love like I'll wear my hair like this in a braid all the time. Like I just love, being around boys. Like it's just that's how my life has always been. And
Were they like picking on you like you were one of the boys, or were they like, oh my gosh, this is our sister, she's our angel sister?
So it's funny, I was watching a video the other day, and it was brothers and like them messing with their sisters and like running into their room and like jumping on top of them and just like playing mean tricks on them. And I was gonna send it to my brothers and be like, you guys were really nice to me. Like, I mean, I've had a few broken bones. Like my older brother literally broke my collarbone jumping on top of me once. But I feel like it's been a really cute relationship. Like even to this day, they're all just like very protective and very kind to me. And like my younger brother and I are super close because he kind of sees me as like a motherly figure in his life. And he would like come in my room when it was storming and be like, Meg, can I sleep in your bed? Like oh my gosh, I'm just so close with all of them. And so growing up was like so much fun. And me and my second, like the second oldest boy in my family, him and I are 21 months apart. So we were extremely close growing up too. Like
So was that the same grade?
he was a 1 year below
Okay,
me
okay.
in school, but we had like all the same friends in high school. We drove together. We drove to our like church youth group together. We did everything together. And so it's really cool because I have like a super special relationship with each of my brothers, my older brother and my 2 younger brothers. So that's kind of a background on my family. As far as me and just kind of the life I've gone through, I feel like just to relate it to like this podcast and this discussion, I've like I said, I've always been pretty active growing up with brothers and active parents. Sports wise, I haven't played many sports. I've tried a bunch. Like I tried gymnastics. My mom took me out because I complained too much about stretching hurting me. I tried softball, and that was great for a few years, but I complained because I didn't like running, and then I broke my collarbone, so that was like the last straw. I played a little bit of basketball, but then I would cry when they didn't pass the ball to me, and I jammed my thumb and was such a baby about it. So it's like I don't know. I like to call myself athletic, but like I'm very clumsy and I'm not the most coordinated, so like ball sports were never really my thing. So, second grade to literally almost college, I was a cheerleader. I did sideline cheer, but I also did competitive cheer. So every team I was on had like a sideline season and a competitive season. So from second grade to eighth grade, I was on a cheer team. It was like a park district team, and we like were actually pretty good. Like we won state every single year that we went, and that was such a blast. And then I ended up, so those were like my sport family, like those girls that I cheered with for
What
8
was it
years.
about cheer that made you stick around?
Mm. I think there was no ball involved. And then I've just always been a very like bubbly, animated, leadership quality type of person. And so I think that like cheerleading was perfect because you just go and you like jump and dance around and like throw people in the air. And it was just like, it feels like a way for you to just embody like excitement and joy all the time. And so I think that's why it stuck. And um, it wasn't like too intense either. And then I think just the girls that I was on a team with were amazing. And I ended up moving in 4th grade, just a town over. So that path meant like all the girls that I cheered with my entire life, like I was going to go to a different high school from them. So I would cheered with them for 6 years, went to high school. My whole cheer family went to a school, and I by myself went to another school. Um, it was called Lincoln Way East, and I went there, and like the Lincoln Way East cheer program is insane, like top program in Illinois. And so I was like super happy to be there, and that also like really shaped how much more serious I got about cheer. So my freshman year, I had tried out and I made JV, which was really exciting because I just like skipped over the freshman team and
Mm.
just like went right to JV. Um, and you just spend the whole time like looking up to varsity and just wanting to be there and wanting to be a part of that culture. And with, Coach Jason, like he's just such an incredible coach. And so like I worked really hard on like all my skills, all my tumbling, all my jumps. Like I stretched, I was a flyer. Actually, okay. No one's gonna get this except for you. So I need to like try and explain things.
Okay.
My whole life for 6 years, I had been a back spot, which is like you stand in the bottom of the stunt in the back of the two girls, like holding her ankle.
Which is typically the tall girl
Yes,
spot.
the tall girl spot. So then when I got to high school, somehow, like I hadn't hit my growth spurt until like sophomore year. So I was really tiny apparently, and they tried putting me in the air as a flyer. And so my freshman year, I was a flyer, and it was so terrifying. Like I loved it. I feel like every girl dreams of being a flyer, but I was like terrified. And I wasn't very good at it, but I stretched a lot. I was super flexible. And I went up in like 2 stunts at the competition. So that was for a year, and then my sophomore year, they were like, "You're not the best flyer."
Maybe this
And
isn't for you.
I think it was like, "If you ever want a chance at being on varsity, you have to be a back spot again," and I'm like, "Let's do it."
Mm.
Because I got taller and like I think that that journey is kind of what had made me fall in love with, like, being strong, because when you're lifting girls every day, like, literally, I would I'm convinced that, like, I have huge quads because I would be like this
Mhm.
constantly, every day at practice, like,
Right.
in a stunt, and so just kinda yeah, sophomore year, I made JV again, and then junior year, I finally had made varsity, and so I'm cheering, like, having the best time of my life. Obviously, like, they had already won state, the program, prior to me being on the team, so I'm like, "I wanna win state, like, I want that ring on my finger before I graduate high school." And so my junior year, we had gotten a legality at our sectional competition, which is, like, what puts you in contention for state, which caused us to not make it to state at all, which is, like,
Oh, no.
absolutely unheard of. And it was like, if I look back on my high school career, that was probably like one of the most tragic things that happened to me. Like, I was so depressed for like a whole week. Like, it was just crazy. Um, and so, but I just like loved cheer so much. It was my whole life. And that's probably like out of all sports, like this cheer season, if you think about it in high school, like it starts in the summer. You're practicing all summer. Football season is like August to November, and then that's exactly that and is when competition season starts from November to February, which is when state was, and then from February to spring was basketball season and you're cheering for basketball. And then it was like tryouts happen and then it's summer and you start oh my gosh, it's just such
it's
like
a full-time job.
it's a full-time job.
It really was.
But I just was in love with it. And so then my senior year was super special. Like, okay, so go back to my cheerleading team growing up from
Okay.
2nd to 8th grade. They all went to this other high school, and I was alone at Lincoln Way East. So Lincoln Way North shut down due to financial issues in our district.
So is that where all your friends were?
Yes.
Okay.
So they all got transferred to Lincoln Way East.
Oh, that's great.
And I was like, this is some sort of like movie. Like, I'm cheering with the girls that I grew up with cheering my whole life, my senior year of high school.
Oh, that's so fun.
And we like just dominated. Like, those girls, they had incredible tumbling. East was a big stunt team. So like we combined our talents and just like we went and we won state, and it was like one of the best days of my life. Also one of the scariest days of my life because it's just like so much pressure. But yeah, like talking about Meg before CrossFit, like I was probably mainly defined by like cheerleading. And I absolutely adored it and poured my heart, blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then also like, again, if I think about Meg before CrossFit too, like what has really defined me my whole life as well outside of cheer is just like my faith. And walking with the Lord, and just like I've believed in God like since I was 2 or 3 years old, when I like had really bad anxiety, and my family took us to church because they're like, she's so afraid to die, like we need to tell her what happens when you die, type of thing. Like I've just so like going to church, going to youth group, like doing as much, like I sang on worship team. So that was a big part of my life too, was like singing, church, cheer.
So going back to that faith part, you said that you had a really bad anxiety about dying and what happens after you die.
Yeah.
Beforehand, were your parents already going to this church, or were they just like believers but not really practicing?
Yeah.
Or going to the church, and then when you found this, they were like, we want you to be involved in this? Like, is that kind of how that went? How did that go?
That's a good question. So basically, you don't hear about this as like a 2 or 3-year-old. Like your mind isn't developed enough. But for whatever reason, like I was just full of anxiety, and like I didn't want to leave the house because I was scared that I was going to leave the house and die. I didn't want my mom to leave me ever because I was scared that like when I was alone I would die, like. And so my parents were just like, this is not normal, this is not okay. And they had grown, both of them like went to Catholic church. My mom grew up in like a private school for girls. But it was one of those things where like as our family started, they weren't super like active in any certain church.
Okay.
So that was kind of like a turning point for my family. It was like, okay, our daughter's like freaking out, super anxious, like as most people do when there's, trouble and you're in need. Like a lot of people do just like turn to faith or to God. And so that was kind of where that started.
Got it.
For me and for my family. So yeah, like things that define me: cheer, faith, yada yada. So then once I graduated high school and cheer was over, it was like, like, what? And I like experienced a ton of anxiety again, like about going to college and everything changing. I actually I went to Illinois State, and I tried out for their cheer team and had made it, but I ended up quitting before the season even started. Like I went to one practice over the summer, and I was like, this is just not for me. And I'm typically not someone to like quit anything.
Right.
But I just really felt on my heart, like I had a back injury. The girls were like not very nice. Like they were nothing like my team before. And then also just through a lot of prayer and everything, it just felt like something I was supposed to do was like leave that behind. And I'm really glad I did, because in college then it opened the door for me to like explore what it meant to be physically active, like outside of cheerleading, on my own time, on my own schedule, out of my own passion. And then also like a lot of other things that I was able to do in college, like outside of that. So that's probably like, okay, all the way up to CrossFit.
Okay.
Beginning.
Okay. And so I guess that's a good lead in. I want to talk about, so that's when CrossFit started. Your mom owned a gym called CrossFit Rua in Chicago.
Yes.
Right? so around that time of college, is that when she started owning that gym?
Mhm.
And what was it like growing up, or just, I guess maybe you were an adult already, but being around a mom that owned a CrossFit gym?
Yeah. I love talking about this so much because, like, at this point, CrossFit is such a huge part of my life, and it literally would not be that way if it wasn't for my mom. Shout out, Mom. Love you.
We
Like,
love you.
this is for you. Her name's Dawn.
We
She's
love you,
amazing.
Dawn.
She pops into Salty Hive sometimes when she's in town, so you guys will have to say hi to her when she's here. But my mom, I want to say it was 2013 when she took over ownership for that gym. So 2013 is when I graduated 8th grade and I started in high school. I Yeah, like, she had owned the gym at that point, and I knew, like, Rua was a part of my life, but I was kind of in and out. It was called CrossFit Rua, by the way. Um, but I can kinda get into just, like, the background of that and,
Yeah,
like,
that's
how that
perfect.
all started.
That works.
Yeah. So my mom, she I don't think she, like, regularly worked out a whole lot prior to CrossFit. I know she was, like, active and she would go to the gym, but, she would always tell people she was, like, skinny fat. Like, she was skinny, but, like, not very toned and healthy because, like,
Mhm.
she would just eat whatever and, like, not a lot, if
Like,
that
she
makes
was,
sense.
like, skinny, but she was living, like, not that lifestyle.
Yes,
Like, not a healthy
yes.
lifestyle is kind of what you're
And
getting at.
so I wanna say, like, she just got invited to do CrossFit. And she has been to like many, many gyms. She's had other friends who own gyms. And the one that she landed on, it was called Body Tech. And so she worked out there for a long time and then eventually went and got her L1 and was coaching for a while. And then through some sort of connection, there was another gym in the area called CrossFit Rua. And my mom also started picking up classes over there. And then eventually just like full blown, like started CrossFit Rua. But the two owners at CrossFit Rua at the time, their names were Irene and John. My mom was coaching with them for a little while, and then John got diagnosed with cancer. And it was like terminal, like gonna go quickly
My gosh,
type of cancer.
it's horrible.
Um, and my mom, like, she just was so in love with CrossFit. Like, she was able to quit smoking after smoking for I don't know, over 20 years, like, a lot, like, she would smoke a lot every day.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
and it changed her life, like, she literally had tried so many different things, like, the patches, she would go to, like, hypnotists, all the different things to try and quit smoking, and she could not do it until she started doing CrossFit, and she was like, "I love this so much, and so much more than smoking too, that, like, I'm gonna quit because I need to breathe, like, I need to be able to breathe while I'm
Mhm.
doing these intense workouts." So that was, like,
Do you
life-changing.
know what it was about CrossFit that, like, made her stick to it and made her, like, fall in love with it?
I think it was just fun, and,
Okay.
like, she had a lot of friends doing it, so she would show up, and it was just she one thing I absolutely love about her is how, like, diehard CrossFit she is. So, like, Greg Glassman, CrossFit methodology, CrossFit HQ, like, so loyal to just the roots of CrossFit.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think just everything about it she, like, fell in love with, and it was fun, and it wasn't, like I don't know, it was just something that she could look forward to. She's very social, so I think the aspect of, like, coming in and seeing friends
Yeah.
was important for her. So, at CrossFit Rua, John gets diagnosed with cancer. My mom's so in love with CrossFit, she's all in, like, eventually she has such a huge heart, and she just wanted to help, but conversations turned into, like, what would it look like for you to run the show?
Mhm.
And she didn't have a job at the time, so, like, our family was extremely fortunate to where my mom could be a stay-at-home mom while my dad was working. And so she knew nothing about business, nothing about running, like, she just was a coach and loved CrossFit and wanted to help her friends. And so eventually John passed away and she took over at the gym and, like, from then on, like I said, I think 2013, it just became her life, like, her passion, everything she did was poured into that gym. And that's when, like, I got to have a front row seat to that, and I got to be there when, like, all of the events were happening at the gym, and, like, classes. I would attend some in high school, but not a whole lot. I didn't really super get into CrossFit till college. But something I wrote down is during that time, I wish I had just like paid more attention because I never realized how big CrossFit would be in my life
Mhm.
later on. Like right then, it was just like fun to watch my mom. Like it was amazing. She was doing great. I was so proud of her. And it like I would go to competitions and see her just like crushing it. And like I would go in once in a while and just like do Murph with her. And she was just like so fit and so strong. And it was so fun. But I just wish I had realized like keep watch because like this is going to be so important to you in the future, and like I realize that now, but I was just so obsessed with like watching her get strong. And she owned it for 2013 till like she just retired, I'll say, this past year, like in the fall in 2025. So like 12 amazing years of just like owning the gym. And yeah, like she created such a beautiful community there that was like so hard to leave too.
Yeah, that's
So
really cool. I'm, like, thinking, I'm like, when she's in town next time, maybe we have her on the podcast too and get, like, her story. I feel like it would be so cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing CrossFit at your mom's gym. Is that
Mhm.
is that right?
Mhm.
For the most part, you're at your mom's gym
Mhm.
doing CrossFit. You start a Bible study
Mm.
at your CrossFit gym,
Mhm.
and that's how you meet Jack.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Can you kind of go into that story of like how did the Bible study start?
Mhm.
Kind of like how you met Jack, and then we'll kind of just go from there and how you guys got here.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, I love that. So fun to think about. So before college, I was working out at my mom's gym a ton, and then I had to leave for college, and then I was like attempting to do CrossFit workouts at the school rec, and it just like wasn't working. So then I did end up like I joined 2 different CrossFit gyms out in college. And I did some like coaching there and everything too. So I was able to keep it up. And then like by the end of college, I was just like full time all in for CrossFit, like doing it all the time,
Hmm.
like doing the opens, like actually starting to care more about doing competitions and everything. So then I came home and I actually like didn't have a job lined up. I had actually studied exercise science in college. And so my idea at first was just like, okay, I'll come home and I'll just coach at the gym and see what happens. So like Rua very quickly after college became just like I was there for everything. I was there coaching, I was there working out, I was there doing my Bible study, like I was there helping my mom with whatever I could.
Was it ever in your thoughts to be like, I'm gonna own this gym one day?
I think it was always in the back of my mind, but this is so hard, I think, like because for my mom and I's relationship too, it was like for a while I think I realized I adored CrossFit and I adored being an athlete, and that's what made me fall in love with CrossFit.
Hmm.
And then I became a coach and I was like, I also really love coaching. But then I don't know, like I loved helping run the gym, but I just could never fathom like this is my thing, like it was always her thing.
Right.
Um, and then I think potentially if I had stayed home, that would maybe be in the picture, like if I would just keep running it. But like our dream was to live in Utah. And so when we moved, like that ended up being a really hard conversation because it was like, okay, Meg's moving, like what about Rua?
Hmm.
So that's kind of how that turned out. Um, but so the Bible study thing, like I said, I had moved home after college and all I was doing was just like coaching at the gym. But I also stayed super involved in my church, and while I was in college, they actually reached out to me and were like, "Hey, we know you're graduating this summer and coming back home. How would you feel about leading like a young adult Bible study?" Because I feel like at my church back at home, and then also like even here and churches all around that population's kind of forgotten. It's like we have junior high ministries, we have high school ministries, we have college ministries, and then like after college, it's like who do you stay connected with? You just start going to church and on the weekends and that's it. Like it's just really hard to connect,
Hmm.
especially when it can be a lonely time of life too. You're like, I just left college. I don't know who my friends are. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like it's
For sure.
hard.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So I was like, absolutely. And so it started out actually at my parents' house. And at a certain point, we would have like 12 people sitting in our living room. And then once the Bible study was over, everyone would want to stay and hang out. And then it just got like really exhausting for my parents because we just wanted to be loud and rowdy. And like my mom was like, okay. And it was growing too. Like more and more people would come. And so my mom eventually offered us to have it at the gym, which I think was so cool and fun because like it gave people an opportunity to walk into a CrossFit gym who would like probably have never stepped foot in a CrossFit gym, and they would walk in and be like, "Wait, are we going to do CrossFit today?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no. We're just going to sit on this floor and talk about the Bible, like that's it." But it was just so cool. And so we had eventually moved it to the gym like before Jack started coming. So at this point, there's like 20 people in this young adult group. We would all sit in a circle every Wednesday night and just like read the Bible and ask questions about it and like pray for each other and encourage one another. And it was just super cool. And so I'm doing that. That is just like my thing for a while. And the way Jack got connected was one of my best friend's moms is very close with Jack's mom. And I had been working with her that summer. She does like interior design. And so I was like, I would just show up and like help her move things and everything. And so I'm like working with my friend's mom. And then there's like Jack's mom and him just living their life. And apparently those two are like chirping about like, oh, Jack needs to hang out with their friend group. Like,
Okay.
because Jack had come home from college, and as you all know, like he was recently just getting sober, and so in his community at home, they're such incredible people, but their only way of hanging out was like going out and drinking all the time. So he was just kind of like lonely and also, like struggling with his relationship with God. Like, is there even a God? Like, who is Jesus? Just like, and so, um, Jack had actually gotten invited to a young adult Bible study earlier in the year by someone who was in that Bible study. So now that person was in my Bible study, and for whatever reason, I had like heard through the grapevine that like Jack was maybe going to come to CrossFit one time, and he was wearing aftershave, and his mom thought it was super weird. And he was like, I'm going to Megan Hussey's mom's gym. And everyone was like, what? And then I heard about this somehow, and I was like, Jack Carroll, like, that's so interesting. Does he think I'm cute? Like, I think he's kind of cute. Like, I don't know. And so I just like had him on my mind a lot of the summer. And then eventually that friend I had asked, like, hey, can you invite Jack to Bible study? And he was like, sure, I'll text him. So he texted him, and then nothing came of it. I don't think like he didn't come or anything. Then a few weeks later, I was like, hey, you should invite Jack again.
Just keep inviting him till he comes.
So he did. And then, but that friend couldn't go that night. So he texted Jack and he's like, I can't go, but if you want to go, like, I'll send you Meg's number and you could text her. So then that day I got a text from Jack and he's like, hey, do you care if I come tonight? And I was like, of course, like anyone's welcome. And so,
Especially you.
like, I literally, it's so weird because it wasn't like I was thinking of him and like I had this big crush on Jack Carroll. I just had this like small feeling in my like gut and my spirit that like there was something happening. And like I literally remember the outfit I put on that night because I was like, Jack Carroll's coming to Bible study. It was this purple long sleeve shirt with like white daisies on. So
That's
cute.
amazing. I love it so much.
And so yeah, I'm just doing my thing and he shows up outside the gym. He's walking through the parking lot and I was like, I hadn't seen him since high school. Like, we had a class together our senior year, but he had a girlfriend who was, like, kind of irrelevant to me. Like, I didn't even think of him in that way because his girlfriend was, like, one of my friends. And so we both, like, went our separate ways for college, came back home. And so I saw him that night, and I hadn't seen him in 4.5 years, and just, like, gave him a hug, and it was just I don't know, it was, like, really good to see him. And he always talks about that hug too. He's like, "You just, like, hug different than other people." Like, I don't know. I just like to, like, hold on and just make you feel the extra
My
love.
gosh, cuties.
But it was also interesting because he's coming to Bible study. So it's like, was it for me? Maybe, but also like he was really searching at the time for like faith and something bigger than himself because, he'd experienced all those things. Um, and so I was very careful because I was like, I would hate to, something go wrong between us and then he just like walks away from it all. Um, so we were just like friends for 3 weeks.
For so long.
But it's funny because that first week, he comes in, he's like, "Oh, CrossFit, what is this?" And, Bible study was on Wednesday, and he came to his first CrossFit class on Friday. And I was a coach, obviously. And so, what would happen is I would come in early, like 10 minutes early, to write on the whiteboard what the workout was going to be for the day. And then, after a few times, like Jack Carroll would show up 10 minutes early to class while I'm writing on the whiteboard and just come and like chat with me. Um, so we really like got to know each other in a friend way. Like we hung out in groups a few times. But like I said, it lasted like 3 or 4 weeks before he finally was like, "Hey, I'd love to, pick your brain about some questions about the Bible." And I'm like, "Sure." And then I went into it like, okay, is this like small group leader to person coming in, like asking your leader questions? I don't know. Or is this a date? I don't know. And I didn't tell my mom about it. She was out of town that weekend because I was scared that she would not want me like going on a date with a member. But I went and we got breakfast and he legit like on his phone had a list of like some of the hardest questions about Christianity that you can ask. But I was like, okay, here we're diving in. But he like paid for my meal and like I don't know. And then we started like texting and Snapchatting and things just developed from there. And it was like now he's my husband.
That's such a fun story. I love that. What was the decision like to move to Salt Lake?
It was pretty hard.
Okay.
Uh, I never like knew I was always very indecisive. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I didn't know where I wanted to live, all yada yada. But then I had one of my best friends growing up move out here in 2021 with her husband. And so I had come to visit her a few times and was like, holy crap, like this is out west is amazing. Like my first time being out west, seeing huge mountains in real life was in like 2020 in Colorado. So then I came to Utah and I was like, this mountain life thing is amazing. It's so beautiful out here. Like people are just so happy and like there was something about for me. Um, it's kind of morbid, but I would look at the mountains and be like, if I did choose, like, what I was staring at when I was dying, like, this is what I would want to be looking at.
This
Like,
would be it.
I just want to be by mountains. Like, this
That's
is
cool.
because they're just so big and beautiful and,
They are.
like, something about things that are, like, so much bigger than you and just make you look at life, you're just so small and, life is beautiful. And so, I had fallen in love with Utah. And then when Jack and I were dating, we would talk about, like, where's your dream place to live? And I'd say Utah, and he's like, "What? Like, why Utah?" Like, everyone says that too when we talk about living here. They're like, "Utah? What brought you there?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Guys, have you seen it?" Because he was a big, Florida boy. Like, I want to live by the beach. But then, we started taking trips out here together to visit our friends, and we went camping in Moab. And like, middle of the night, there's these crazy stars, and it's like this place is just wonderful. Um, and so after we had gotten engaged, we got engaged in August, and then I want to say November is when like we made the decision, like we're gonna move to Utah. And then I broke the news to my family, and that's part of the like hard part. Like it was, really exciting and so dreamy to be like, we're gonna move to Utah after we get married. We don't have a whole lot tying us down. Like we both had jobs that we weren't like super in love with. And then the only thing was like leaving our families, which was like super sucky, but like also Illinois just thumbs down. Like
Thumbs down, Utah, thumbs up.
yes. And so yeah, like we went through a really hard season just like navigating that, there's this like biblical concept called leave and cleave, where like when you get married, you like leave your family essentially, not like leave them forever, but it's like you are now like stepping into your own family dynamic, and then you have to kind of like cut the cord a little bit, and
Yeah.
that like there's just a lot of pain that comes with that. As much as there's like freedom and joy, it was just really hard, I think, for like both Jack and I, but then also our families.
Yeah.
And it's still hard, like, so, but I think like everyone has realized like we're so happy here, and like we have found such wonderful community here. Jack built his business literally from the ground up, and it's like he's crushing it. And so as much as like we miss family, like when we go home now, the time is just so sweet and so precious, and I almost feel like closer to my family, because it's like when you see family every single day and you're interacting every single day, you're just like, oh hey,
Right.
but now it's like the time is so intentional. Um, so yeah.
I like that. When you guys moved here, how did you find Salty?
So we, when we moved here, we didn't really know what to do. We both were like, we need to CrossFit gym, we need to CrossFit gym. But that was probably like the longest I had gone without working out in forever, because we were just like, we just moved, we were trying to unpack, we were trying to get our bearings, we had work starting soon, blah, blah, blah. And so I actually feel like Jack kind of spearheaded a lot of that. We had tried a few different gyms. I've been to like different gyms around the area. Like I've been to Put It Up CrossFit in like the Provo, Orem area while visiting. I've been to SLC CrossFit while visiting. So I had experienced those gyms before, and when we moved here, we were working at a church initially, and C2X CrossFit slash like Excel Fitness were literally within 30 seconds of where we were working. So we're like, that would be perfect. They have showers. Like we just go right to work after. So we went and we tried it, and it was okay. Like it's a great gym. And the perk of like having a Globo gym connected to it was awesome. And so we actually like almost signed up there, because it worked. But then Jack was like, I actually found this other gym. Like, look at their Instagram. It's pretty cool. And it was like Salty Hive CrossFit. And I don't know why I was just like, so, like, it was just so out there at first. Like, it's funny because Salty Hive now, it's like ingrained in me. And I just like, it's Salty Hive.
Right.
But when
It's
we were
funny
like,
because it's out there and we're out there. Like I feel like we're like loud and proud and all those things.
yes.
So
But it was just like interesting. Just the name, I guess. So I remember I was like, okay, we'll try it though. And so I had like, I feel like this is funny because I feel like mainly people will just like text or email, but I like called the phone number, and it's Justin on the phone. He's like, hey, like, what's up? This is Salty Hive. And so I scheduled my first class, and we actually showed up. It was a Thursday morning with Coach Garrett, and we were doing rope climbs. Like I just remember that first class, and it was really early morning too, because we wanted to go before work. And I remember, first of all, Garrett was awesome. So thank you, Garrett. And then something about this gym just felt like, it's never the same, but it felt like CrossFit Rua. Like, first of all, there was gray walls with the, points of what I forget what those are called.
the GPP, the
Yes,
general
the
physical
GPP
preparedness, the 10
words
skills.
on the wall, like 10
the 10 general physical skills.
on the wall, and like do lunges on the floor and your knees are dirty, and like it was just like, yes, like garage doors. It just felt like this is a CrossFit gym, like hit the gut like CrossFit, because that's, like I said, my mom was like so loyal to the brand and CrossFit and like the experience and the box, like this is a box. And so we were super excited about that, and Jack actually pulled up like the open participation and saw that there was like 100 members who participated. He's like, we gotta go there. And then literally like we did our free week but never went back anywhere else. So
That's so cool. My first memory of you guys was we we're all going down to Cedar City for
Uh-huh.
Iron Games. And you guys were literally brand new. Like, it literally might have been your first week. And people were like, you guys should come down, like, and just hang out. And no one thought anything of it. And you both came down and stayed in the house with 10 strangers. And
That's great.
that was just so telling. And I remember that, like, me and Josh had just started dating at the time. And I remember being like, they're going to be like
Mm.
great members of the gym.
love
Like,
that.
it's, that was just telling. Like, you made it a point to, like, come and make friends and, like, really be a part of the community. And I was like, there are kind of people for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
So
that
that
was
was,
crazy. We're like, "Do you wanna just drive 4 hours this weekend and go hang out?"
yeah, it was
I
so
remember I
cool.
messaged Mego on Beyond the Whiteboard because I didn't have her phone number,
That's
and she
hilarious.
had mentioned us staying in the house with you guys.
Did she respond on that?
I think I somehow got connected,
Okay.
but it was so funny because that's, like, the only message I've ever sent anyone on Beyond the Whiteboard.
That's awesome. That's so funny. So you guys moved to Utah and found Salty Hive. You guys became members of the community very quickly, and then you also joined the coaching staff. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about your journey to being a part of our coaching staff.
'Kay. So, I got my L1 in 2019 and then coached with my mom for a while at RUA, went to college. In college, I also coached at CrossFit Power and Grace and was there for a few years and then moved back home after college, was coaching at RUA for a while again, coaching like kids camps and like all these fun different things too, which was super fun. So then when we moved to Utah, that kind of outlet in my life was a big question mark because I didn't know where we were gonna end up for, like, our home gym, and also, like, you wanna be somewhere long enough to where you know you're committed before you, like, jump in and get
Mhm.
involved. So it was kind of fun to just think about, being an athlete and just, like, chilling and being coached instead of always, like, coaching. Um, but I still was, curious, and so, like, the first week I was here, I had actually asked Justin in the front room, I was like, "So, what does it look like, coaching here? What does that process look like?" And he was like, "Well, actually, to be honest," he's like, because we all know how honest he is. He's like, "We have a full roster, and I don't see that changing anytime soon." So, yeah. And I was like,
You're like,
"Alright, cool.
cool.
That's totally fine." And, like, I understand. Like, it's cool because I remember back home, like, my mom would struggle to find a good coach. Like, we had a coaching staff of, like, 4 or 5. If someone left or someone got busy and we needed people to cover, like, it was just such a struggle to find people and let alone, like, find people who could stick around and who, fit well. And so I was just really shocked to hear, like, the roster here is full and it's not changing anytime soon. I'm like, "That is so impressive." Like, and so, yeah, it took about a year, part of that because, like, my L1 expired, and then it took me a sec to get my L2. But in those times, like, Justin would communicate with me often, like, there might be opportunities coming up, like, we've got you on our minds. And it was just always, like, very encouraging in that way and, like, always reminding me that they're, like, thinking of me. And so once I finally, like, kicked it in gear and, like, went and got my L2, I came back, and this, like I said, this is, like, over a year after I'd just been, an athlete here and a member. Um, so got my L2 in January of this year, and then I started doing my, like, shadowing and my, half coach, like, do the warm up and the brief and then, like, watch the rest of the time. I went through the whole process. And it was really funny because, like, prior to this, like, prior to moving here, I was so comfortable coaching. Like, I would just be in my element, I was confident, and then it was like, I did a lot of musicals growing up, and I would do, like, auditions, and it felt like I was auditioning again. Like, I had that same, like, butterfly nerve feeling in my stomach, which is, like, so funny to think about, but I think it's because there's just such, like, in the best way, like, a high standard here, and, like, we hold people to the CrossFit standards, like, classes are run a certain way. I think all the coaches here carry themselves in a very similar way, like, it's just so professional, it's so confident, it's so structured, and, like, it's just the system here is incredible. Like I think Justin has, developed an amazing team, and so like stepping into that and trying to like fit into that was nerve-wracking, but I think, I had my nerves while I was like in the training process of things, but I think I've like learned in life that if you just not like fake it till you make it, but just like own the things that you do and like be confident and just like stand up there and like believe that you're where you're supposed to be, I think can go a long way. And so now, it's been almost a year, I think, since I like
That's exciting.
got my L1 or L2, and back into coaching, and it's like I'm still growing and still like hopping in when I can, and it's just been so fun. And I think a big motivation too is like I don't know if this is a good or bad thing about me, but I just love like being in the inner circle of things. Like everything in my life, I'm like, how do I get to be on, like the staff? Like how can I be in that leadership meeting? Like I don't know. I just kind of how I've always been. Like I love
It's the cheerleader in you.
I can never like just go through the motions. Like I just everything I do, I have to dive in and just be as part of it as I can, and like to be a part of the conversations, like every month that help shape this place, and like, you know, anything that I could do to contribute to like a place that gives so much back to me, I was like all
Mhm.
for. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How would you say you've developed and changed as a coach from when you coached at CrossFit Rua, from when you coached now that you coach here?
Yeah. I think my mom trained me very well. Like, she ran a pretty tight ship, and she also is like, I think similar to Justin, and where like she just tells things like it is,
Mhm.
and it like immediately just makes you better. Like, you have a hard conversation and it like stings for a second, but it's like immediately you just make a change because you know how much they care and how important it is to them, and then how much they care about their business and like how things are run and like the reputation. Like my mom was also very similar, and so her and I would have hard conversations, and like also she would be immediately like she would not sugarcoat things or like wait and hold resentment. It's like if you're doing something wrong, I'm going to pull you aside after class and I'm going to tell you. And like mom to daughter was hard because like it's my mom, and like sometimes I would get a little sassy and like it just was not good, but I think it was so good to have that like butting head relationship because it literally just like sharpened me so much as a coach, and also literally like trained me to see CrossFit in the way that she does as an owner and as someone who's so loyal to what it is. And so I think that like as I've gotten more comfortable and past like the nerves of things, like all that has started to come back. And like I said, just really caring about like movement standards, and something that has like been different here, I would say that Justin is super big on is like class management and making sure things flow really well. And I think like since coming here, that has been part of my like repertoire
Repertoire?
that has
Repertoire?
like been really developed, is learning how to like the other day I coached a class of 27 people, and at Rua like maybe 7 would be the max.
Mhm.
Maybe a Saturday you'd get like 12.
Mhm.
So that's been really fun, is to see like coaching Megan to also like I can coach a CrossFit class, but then I can also like manage this huge group of people who are coming in to get and make the experience like as smooth as possible.
That's awesome.
So
Don't mind me, I'm just crying over there in the corner. Uh, Meg's the only coach that I hadn't didn't have to tell her to be louder. You remember me telling you that?
yeah.
So yeah, every other coach I've trained, I'm like, louder, louder. Oh, day one, I was like, dang, you're loud enough.
He's like, "Be quiet." Just kidding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have been told my whole life to freaking project, like sing to the back wall.
I
So
love that.
thank
That's
you,
awesome.
Justin.
Okay, I kind of want to talk about something that you do with health and fitness in the background and on
Mhm.
your own is you run a fitness Instagram, and we didn't really say this, but you are in marketing right now.
Mhm.
when you started that fitness Instagram, you had mentioned that you were doing it to, 1, practice marketing techniques, but also 2, spread health and fitness in a realistic, real way.
Mm.
Because that doesn't happen very often. We get a lot of like fads and things, and you talk a lot about on your Instagram, like doing things to bring you joy, doing exercise for life, doing your steps to get it some more movement. Like, you're very realistic on there, and you talk a lot about, you related a lot back to your journey.
Mm.
And I kind of just want to talk about your message of health and fitness and what you are wanting to project to the world.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for acknowledging that. That's super special because that's the goal. So yeah, I started the page because I just like very involved in like Instagram, and I would have to help clients with their Instagram, and so I was like, well, I'll just use this as like a test because on my personal page I would like to post about fitness stuff, and I tried to like go all influencer, and like I don't know, not that I felt judged, but I just felt bad because I'm like, I think people who are following me don't follow me for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm just gonna start something new. So yes, I use that for a test, but also it's like I'm not gonna start this whole page about something that I'm not super passionate about. And like you said, like fitness is that for me, fitness and health. And I have like an exercise science background, so I would have loved to like share those things. But it's funny because when you told me we were gonna talk about this, I wrote down like authentic, not the most polished influencer. Because I just kind of put stuff out there, and I've always cared about, I love writing, I love words, and so I've just always cared about putting, like, positive messages out there, and the way I see my fitness page, which I haven't posted on in, like, 3 months because, I've been pregnant, a little mentally occupied in other
get that.
ways.
We'll get
there. But, uh, yeah, the goal of that page was, like, just to try certain things and, like, see how it went, but also I feel like something that I've really struggled with in my life is just, like, comparison, and even now still, I, like, see all these fitness influencers and these women with, like, beautiful abs, and they've had 3 kids, and they look like that, and, like, I just couldn't stand it anymore, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna put something out there that's, like, this is kinda how I would call myself just, like, an average CrossFitter lives their life." Like, I'm pretty average, I'm not, like, anything insane, and I train for health, but I like to compete sometimes, and, like, I like to eat healthy, and yeah, so this is my journey, and this is what I do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's much more relatable and realistic and all those things. So if you don't follow it, you should. She does a really, really good job. Um, and then I want to lead right into something new that's come along.
Uh-huh.
I guess it's not that new. But you have just finally announced
Yeah.
you're pregnant.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, how are you feeling?
Mhm.
How's it going?
Wow, okay. Well, I'll just start with, first of all, like, a message to ladies in the CrossFit world because I actually, like, really struggled with wanting to get pregnant. Growing up, I was like, when I become a mom, I wanna have 5 kids, and then as you get older and people around you start to have kids, you're like, "Wait, this is crazy, like, this is what happens, this is the reality, this is the commitment." And like I said, I've always struggled with comparison, and part of that is, like, I have definitely made an idol out of, like, my body and the way that I look. Um, and so that's something I've worked on my whole life, like, it's affected me in ways with, like, I've struggled with disordered eating at times, and I've struggled with, like, anxiety and, like, comparison and shame, and it's all been centered around, like, my body. Um, and so for a long time, I was even, like, being married to Jack, like, he's always been so excited about having kids, and I was kind of like, "I don't know," like, I literally was being so stubborn, I'm like, "I'm not even gonna talk about it until I turn 27, okay? Like, that's the plan." Um, and I was like, "I'm gonna be at my peak," like, literally, you're at peak health when you're, around this age, like, getting into your later 20s, and I'm like, I'm gonna compete, and I'm gonna go hard, and I wanna take advantage." And so, yeah, I really like struggled with even the idea of like getting pregnant. Um, and so some encouragement that I had received, and a lot of that is coming from Courtney Funk, who is like a really amazing face at this gym, and she's had multiple kids, but she's also very competitive in CrossFit and very good at CrossFit. And I would just talk to her about things, and she's like, do not plan your family around CrossFit. Like I'm telling you, I did the same thing, and it's just like not worth, like your family's so much more important and so much bigger than just like this, even though this is huge and it's amazing. Um and so that gave me some encouragement, and then like seeing Trish have a baby. Like Trish is an elite CrossFitter, and I don't think I ever would have had the like peace in my heart to start our family if I didn't see women like them in the gym getting pregnant and having kids. And so just wanted to put that message out there because like it took a lot of me kind of surrendering what I've been holding on to and being like, okay, like we want to start a family and that's really important and that's going to be the most important thing. And so these other things like just let go of and, trust the Lord. Like we prayed so much about it. And I finally was at a place where it was like, okay, let's do this. Like, I think it's time we could, and like, part of me is like, let's get pregnant so then I could get postpartum and back at it again.
Oh, just do it real quick. Let's
Uh-huh.
get it over. Just kidding.
But anyway, the first trimester was really good up until I would say like 13 weeks was when I started like really, getting sick, and that was hard, and like I experienced all the nausea and everything, and probably the hardest thing was like fatigue in the gym. Like I
Mhm.
left the gym crying a few times when we first got pregnant, but then you get over it really quick. Um but I think it's cool because like all those things have so much purpose.
Mhm.
Like when I wasn't feeling nauseous, I was like, this is weird. So then when I started feeling nauseous, I was like, okay, like I'm in the fight. Like I'm a part of helping this baby grow. And then like second trimester, so I'm 19 weeks as of today.
Yay.
20 weeks next week, which is crazy. But like second trimester has been so much better. Like I can actually eat things and like I haven't been, getting sick as much, and like I am feeling better in the gym. It's hard because I feel like my mind thinks I can do a lot more than my body can, or like my body can do things, but it's like it's probably not healthy to be doing those things at this point. So just being like, honestly, a whole new form of discipline is, like, holding back.
For sure.
Um, so that's been interesting, but it's been, like, such a blessing to just, like, share the news, and, like, we just announced it recently so that there's been people at the gym coming up to me, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, life is just so sweet right now, and we're so excited. It's a baby girl.
It's a girl. Yay, I didn't know if you were gonna say
Yes,
it.
yes.
That is so exciting, and I'm so happy for you and Jack. You guys, like, I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you.
What are you most excited for about becoming a mom and starting this family?
So many things. I wasn't gonna talk about this, but I think I will because it's also a thing that people struggle with, and I think it's not as talked about because it can be a little controversial, but like when we found out it was a girl, I was, you know, slightly sad. I really wanted to have a boy. Um, and like I said, I grew up with all boys, and like I really envisioned myself as this boy mom with like, these cute little like blonde-haired kids running around the football field, and like that's just what I always envisioned myself as. And I think the hard part about admitting that and like confessing that publicly is like, gosh, like you're having a child and people struggle to get pregnant at all. Like you should be grateful. And like that's the voices in my head that I've experienced. And I think part of that is true. Like I am so insanely grateful that we are having a healthy baby, but there was a moment of like almost identity shift. Like, okay, we're having a girl, and this entire time I was so convinced it was a boy.
Mhm.
Um and now, like, obviously, I'm so insanely excited to have a girl. Like, I have all of her, girl stuff on the registry. Like, I'm picking out, I went thrifting, I got her clothes. I made a Pinterest board of like just baby girl Carroll just to like get myself ready because, there was that moment of like, dang it, it's not what I wanted. But like, not, it's weird to say because like I wanted a baby. I want this girl too. Like, I don't ever want her to feel like I wanted a boy, like, because that's not the case.
Mhm.
Like I said, it was just an identity shift. So I've had to do just a lot of like prayer and preparation for, this life that like, God has bigger, better plans for me and for our family than I could ever imagine. And so like I'm excited about just all of that coming to fruition, like all of the preparation and, just I have this thing growing inside of me, and it's like when I get to meet her one day, like I'm so excited to breastfeed if I can and like get her dressed. And like we made our registry and just having all the like presents come in and building the nursery. I think I'm also really excited to watch Jack be a dad. Like that's gonna be so insane. I think I'm gonna cry like 100 times a day watching him. Um, and then I had said this to Justin and Trish a few weeks ago, like I'm so excited to like introduce her to like this kind of life and like girls who can be strong and like have muscles and be super active and then like one day have her just get way better than me and crush me in the gym. Like I'm excited for all of it.
That's awesome. And I really like appreciate you sharing your um that struggle with us because I think that is very common with pregnant women. I've obviously never been pregnant, but when you put an expectation on something and then that expectation doesn't come, especially when it's like something that you don't really have control over and it's like you never want that like your baby girl to feel like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I don't want you, right? Like
Exactly.
that's not what it is at all. And
Yeah.
so I feel like a lot of people probably do struggle with that. So I appreciate you sharing that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been going for a while, so we're gonna do a last end thing. If you had to give one piece of advice or words of wisdom or like Meg Carroll mantra, what would it be?
Well, I think that I've actually learned this from Jack this isn't necessarily like health and fitness related or anything, but just in life, like choose joy. I think would be a good one. And the reason I say that, like joy is a choice, because first of all, like biblically, it's a fruit of the spirit. So it's like, you got the Lord in your heart, and it's just like something that you, I think, just like shine either way. But at the same time, I think there's a difference between joy and happiness. Like, joy is something that you choose, happiness is like it comes and goes. And, life can be hard. There's ups and downs, and like in the downs, you could still choose to be joyful because, like, I mean, for us, it's like our hope is not in the things of this world. It's in heaven, and it's in like the things beyond us and the things that we get to like hold on to forever. And so, whatever happens in life, like good or bad, just like choosing joy.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm so excited for you guys. And thank you. I love you. We talked for so long.